video, I'm going to show you how to complete the Data School Gym challenge that I posted for replicating this Eurovision rankings visualization. Now my final one looks like this right here. It's slightly different than the original, but I'm going to walk you through how I did this and particularly the tricks that come along with setting up the labeling the way that I did. So let me switch back over to Tableau. And the first thing I'm going to do is I notice that my year field is continuous, so I'm going to just go ahead and convert that to discrete. I'm going to drag that to the columns. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put country on detail. I need the new system on the rows and the old system as a shared axis. So now you can see I automatically get measure names and measure values into the view. And also notice how my fields are backwards. I've got old system to the right of new system. So I'm just going to rearrange those on the measure values shelf. From here, I'm going to go ahead and change this to a line. And notice we have the beginnings of our slope graph. I'm going to right click on year and choose hide field labels from columns. And then I want to make sure that these labels at the bottom move up to the top. So I do that by going to the analysis menu, table layout, advance, and then unticking this option here for show innermost level at bottom of view. So I'm going to untick that, hit OK, and now my labels are at the top. Now I'm going to go ahead and make the view slightly wider. All right, so next I know that I want to use the new Tableau font, Tableau 10, so I'm going to go up to Format Workbook, and I'm going to go ahead and change this to Tableau, so Tableau Regular. All right, so we got that. And my title, I'm going to format my title. Oops, go in here. And I want to make this Tableau semi-bold. Okay, so I'm going to hit OK. All right, so we've got that bit so far. Now I'm going to go ahead and duplicate the measure values pill. And on my second pill, I want to go ahead and make these circles. All right, you'll see they're kind of massive right now, but that's okay, we'll fix that. So now I'm going to go ahead and make it a dual axis, and then right click on my secondary axis and synchronize. All right, so we can see things starting to come together now. From here, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and go ahead and get the size right. So on my lines, I'm going to make these as thin as I can make them, and then I'm going to go ahead and make my circles a little bit smaller. Okay. And now what you'll notice also is that the rankings are backwards. These are rankings, so I want my lowest ranking at the top. So I'm going to double click on my axis and then just tick reversed. Okay, so now at the top we can see Austria, etc. So let's flip back over to the original. And what we'll notice is we have a set of countries. I'm not exactly sure how they pick them, the ones to highlight, but what we need to be able to do is we need to be able to highlight these certain countries. For our coloring. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight both of my dimensions, my year and my country. I'm going to right click and create a combined field. All right, and now I'm going to edit my combined field, and I need my year to the left of my country, so I'm just going to move those around. So I'm just going to rename this year/country. Hit OK. All right, so now what I need to do is I need to create a group of these countries. So I'm going to right click on my year and country and do create group. And I'll just call this, what do we want to call this? We'll say countries to highlight. And I'm going to untick the other option right now. And then I need to go through and pick these individual countries. So if I look back over here, I've got Ukraine, Russia, Denmark, Poland, and Malta for 2014. So I'm going to go down and pick Ukraine. Let's see, who is it? Ukraine, Russia, Denmark. Ukraine, Russia, Denmark, Malta, and Poland in 2014. And I'm, Russia, Ukraine, and Denmark. And then I'm going to go ahead and group those, and I'll call this, I'll call it highlight. And you see I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now I need to grab my ones for 2015, which are Russia, Italy, the UK, and Germany. So I'm going to go down here to 2015. I'm going to pick the UK. Is it UK, Russia, Italy, and Germany? Okay, Italy, Germany, and I'm going to add those to my highlight group. And then I want to go ahead and tick the include other to put everything else together. So we'll hit OK. And now you'll see we have countries to highlight. And what I could do is I could go ahead and, oops, let me cancel, go to my all on the marks card, drag that to color. And now you'll see I get a blue and a gray. So I want my blue one to be actually black, so I'm going to switch to my Facebook color palette, make this one the gray, and make this one the light gray. Okay, so now we're starting to see it come together. Most people had gotten this far without an issue. The trick now is how do we do the labeling? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and turn mark labels on. And you'll notice it defaults to, everything defaults like that. Actually, I need to go ahead and change my old and new system. I need to change the default number format for those to be no decimals. So hit OK. All right, there we go. So we can see things are starting to shape up a little bit, but that's not quite what we're looking for. So on our measure values, what we really want is we need to be able to distinguish between the countries. We need some of the labels to be gray and some of them to be black. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on my countries to highlight, and I'm going to do create calculated field. And I'm going to call this bold countries. And what I'm going to do now is, because we can use groups and calculations in Tableau 10, we can set this up pretty nicely. So I'm going to say if countries to highlight equals highlight, so that's the name of the group, then give me the country, else blank, end. Okay, so something like that. Hit OK. And then what I want to do is I want to duplicate that and edit it and call it, so I'll call this non-bold countries. And I'm just going to say if the country equals highlight, then blank, else country. So I'm just going to switch them around and hit OK. And what I need to do now is I also need to go ahead and, so if I drag those into the view, so I've got bold countries and non-bold countries, and let's start by just labeling the lines. Let's go ahead and drag those to the label. And click on my label shelf. I want to do line ends, and I want to, for right now, I want to just label the start of the line. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to go ahead and tick on my 3 dots here, and I want to put these on a single line. My bold countries, I want to be, I'm going to make those the Tableau semi-bold and maybe make them a little bit bigger font. So maybe make those 10 or maybe 11 point. And then these, my non-bold countries, I want to make these just gray. So hit apply. And notice how my countries now are highlighted nice and neat. So I need to go ahead and make this a little bit wider. So I'm going to make my view a little wider. There we go. So we can see things start to line up a little bit. At this point, I can go ahead and untick my header because I don't really care to see that anymore. And so now what I need to do is I need to also get the number on there. So I'm going to just kind of do the same process here. So on the left-hand side, I want the old system number. And on the right-hand side, I want the new system number. So I'm going to go ahead and just duplicate my bold countries. And I'm going to call this one, let's call this old system number. I'll just say value, maybe something like that. In this case, I want to return, I want to say if the country is highlight, then I don't want to return country, I want to return the old system. And else we'll just leave it blank. So we'll just leave it as null, hit OK. And then what I want to do is I want to go ahead and duplicate that, edit that, and call this one new system value. Okay, let's see, let's see, that's not quite right. So the first one is returning the old system. Okay, so actually I want to do old system value non-highlight, or actually, what do I call this? Non-bold. And again, I want to just reverse this. So I want to say if country equals highlight, then, or actually this time I'll just say does not equals, then old system. Okay, and let me rename this one, because this one is going to be when I want to make it bold. Bold. Okay, so now I've got these two values, which I can drag onto the label shelf. And you'll see if I go back into my label shelf, hit the three dots. So what I want to do now is if I flip back over, I want to have the country and then the number, okay? So I want to put everything on the same line, and I'll just add a little space in between here. And then for this one, again, I'm just going to make it 11 point, make it the semi-bold, and then that one I could just leave alone, or actually I need to make it black also, so let's make it black. Okay, so now you can see we've got, and then my alignment I want to set to the, I want to set it to the left, and the vertical has to be on the center. And let's go back over here, and that should be good. Okay, so now you can see, but notice how it's overlapping ever so slightly. Let me make my dots just a tiny bit smaller if I can. Okay, so something like that. All right, so I'm going to actually just turn these off for the moment so we can see what's going on. But you see how they're not quite spaced right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go into my tooltip, again for my line. I'm sorry, not my tooltip, my labels. And I'm going to add a couple of dots. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make them white so you can't see them. So hit apply. I can't use spaces there because Tableau will ignore them. And now I've got nice little spacing. So I've got, Russia 7, so kind of looks similar here. It looks like I may have used a slightly smaller font, but that's okay. You get the idea. So now what I need to do on the right-hand side is I need to reverse these. So we're going to do that by labeling the dots in this case. So essentially what I need to do is I can reuse, I believe I can reuse my new system, my bold countries. So let me go ahead and put my bold and non-bold onto the labels. And let me click on the label shelf, and let's fix those again. Okay, so I'm just going to hit OK. I'm going to go here to my lines, and I'm going to just copy these. Okay. And go back over here and paste. Okay, so I hit apply. All right, so again, we've got the countries there, but this time we want the numbers to be on the left, and I need them to be the new values. So I'm going to just duplicate both of my values here, and I'll call this one new system value bold, and then just change this to new system. And then edit this one and call it new system non-bold and new system. Okay, so now I've got new system and new system. I'm going to drag those onto the labels. Okay, and if I go into my marks card here, I want to do the same sort of thing. So my new system value bold is going to be the Tableau semi-bold, 11 point, and black. Okay, but this time I'm just going to rearrange these. I'm going to take this one, cut that, paste it there, and I'm just going to swap them around. Hit apply. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to label these. So I want these to be to the right, and I want them to be to the middle. But notice how they're overlapping. So if I go turn off the marks card, I'm showing it on all the marks here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to untick my show mark labels, and they disappear. Well, that's okay, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to just lasso just the dots. So notice how just the dots are highlighted. Right click on those, mark label, always show. And then I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm going to get just the circles, right click, mark labels, always show. Okay, so now we've got, it looks like the same view. The last thing we need to do is some formatting. So on my format, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of, it looks like if I go back over here, it looks like we only want the row divider. So that needs to be black though, so I'm going to make that black. And I'm going to get rid of my column divider. I'm going to go to my shading and make my shading the gray like they have in the view. And it looks like we need to update the title. So I'm just going to double click on my title, and this needs to be black. So how would the how the Eurovision rankings would change under the new scoring system? How the Eurovision rankings would change under the new system. Okay, there we go. So from here, I can go ahead and hide that card, and it looks like I'm done. So if I flip back over here, you'll see the spacing is a little bit different. I believe I have this in a dashboard. So in my dashboard, I set this up to be, I think, 1,000 by 1,000, and I can drag this sheet in. But when I do a dashboard, notice how my background is gray, so I need to format my dashboard and change my default background color. Okay, so and maybe this title should be a little bit bigger. Okay, something like that. Maybe I think my size is just a hair too big, so maybe 900 by 900, something like that. Okay, so we get this nice little view here. Hopefully you learned a few tricks there for how to do the spacing and how to label things differently. So the other thing that I did, so I'm going to go ahead and duplicate this sheet, was the second part of the challenge. If I go back over here, the second part of the challenge was to highlight just the countries that would benefit from the new system base. So basically the ones where the new system is greater than the old system. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a calculated field, and I'm going to call these risers, and I'm going to say new system is bigger than old system. That's it. Hit OK. And now we have what we could do is we could take this risers and put that on the countries to highlight. And if I go ahead and edit my colors, I want my trues. So in this case, it looks like my blues need to be the dark ones. So I'm going to go back to my Facebook color palette and make those, come on, and then make this one the gray. Hit OK. All right, so it looks like I messed that up actually. So let me edit that. And I think I need to do the sum of new system is greater than the sum of old system. And this is going to break that field, but that's okay. Hit OK. And I'm just going to drag that back in. Okay, there we go. So I don't know why. So my new system in this case is 1 and 1. So those actually shouldn't be getting colored. So it looks like my calculation isn't quite right. So I want to say the new system is greater than, or maybe if I change it greater than or equal to, let's see what happens. Okay, edit. Oops, did it backwards. Okay. All right, there we go. That's what I'm looking for. So now I can edit my colors, and I could change these. So Facebook expanded, make the falses that, and that. Okay, there we go. So now we've got our coloring. But basically what we need to do is we need to sort of repeat the process that we did for the bold countries. So I'm going to duplicate this. And this time I'm going to call this one. I'm going to call this risers bold. And I'm going to say if risers, that's just going to basically say true, then I want to return the country. So I can just return the attribute of the country and hit OK. And if I replace, so where'd that go? Risers bold. If I go ahead and put that on my bold countries and then go ahead and label my risers. Oops, I put that on the wrong shelf. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's just duplicate this one and we'll call this one risers non-bold, and we just want to flip this around. Get rid of that. Okay, so risers non-bold, I'll replace that one, and I want to do risers bold there. Okay, so we're making a bit of a mess, but that's okay. Oh, Tableau keeps switching the cards on me here. So I want to put my risers bold on this line, and risers non-bold on the line. Okay, and we can fix the labeling here in a second. And then what I need to do is I need to go ahead and let me just go ahead and show you how this works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make these actually are backwards, I believe now. I think I have my calculations backwards. So let me go ahead and make this one gray and 8 and make it Tableau regular. And then this one would be semi-bold 10 and black, or 11, sorry. Hit OK. Okay, so now you can see the countries that are increasing are in black now. So what I have to do is I have to create the same calculations for the numbers. So I'm going to just duplicate this and say risers bold. I'll just call this value. And this time I want to say if it's true, then I want to return the ranking. So I want to do old system. And then I don't need that. So this needs to be an aggregation. So make that the sum, which is fine. Hit OK. And then I want to duplicate that. Hit edit. And I'm going to call this non-bold value. And I think, again, I think I have all these calculations backwards, but that's OK. Then null, else, sum. OK. And OK, so now I've got my bold value. So I'm on my line. I've got my bold value and my non-bold value. And then let me fix my tooltips. So again, I think these are backwards. So this bold value needs to be gray, 8, and Tableau regular. And then my non-bold, yeah, sorry about having these backwards. Hopefully it still makes sense. 11 and black. Hit apply. OK. And then I think I messed up here. So these should be white. Let me make those white. 8. OK, so there we go. So now you can see the labeling on just the risers. And I would repeat that for the new ones. So I need to go over here to my new. And I want to go ahead and put risers bold on here. Risers non-bold on here. And then I need to duplicate my value fields. So let's duplicate those. Edit this and call this, I'll call this new value. So my naming isn't very good here. So new system, hit OK. And then edit the second one and call this new value. And this time I'll just replace this with new system. Okay, very good. So now we've got new value, non-bold, new value bold. All right, and again, we're going to turn the labels off. Tick the marks here. So, okay, so again, I think I have these backwards. So we'll make this one Tableau regular, gray, 8. And then this one we want to make 11, semi-bold, black. And then reverse these. So again, so it'd be Tableau regular, 8, gray. And then lastly, we've got this one here, which is semi-bold, 11, and black. Hit apply. Okay. All right, so now, again, what we want to do is we want to highlight just the circles. Right-click, mark label, always show. And then, again, do the same thing here. And I want to right-click, mark label, always show. Okay, so looks like the only issue we have here is Switzerland. Looks like it's overlapping a little bit. We'll fix that in a second. And I just need to see. So this one, my title's different. Which countries benefit under the new Eurovision ranking? Okay, so I need to change the title. Which countries benefit under the new what do I call it? Under the new Eurovision ranking scoring system. Under the new Euro ranking scoring system. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate my dashboard, format it, make the background gray, and this time I want to drag sheet 2 in. So I'm going to go ahead and kill sheet 1. And you'll see now Switzerland looks okay. It's no longer overlapping. So hopefully you learned some things here. Which countries make this right? Okay, so I will get this video up on YouTube, and hopefully you learned something. Have a great day. Bye.